About testimony. I remember about 7 years ago, my pastor, Bishop James, my brother, took me to a baptism. And the baptism, he being the bishop, all the other bishops and heads and title holders was about to sit around and look. And I remember my pastor jumped in that pool and he came out running. And from that point on, it had me to understand that no matter what your title is, you're still just a child of God.
That's it.
And when he jumped out of there, everybody then wanted to get into the pool because they saw that he didn't allow his title to make him better than nobody else.
Come on.
When I think about my testimony, I'm going to start because it's pretty long, and back in the day, you used to tell me, you can't tell it all in one day.
Come on, Pastor.
Well, I got a good little minute to tell some of my testimony tonight. I want to start with before I got saved. You know, God works in mysterious ways. We don't really understand what he's doing in our life when he's doing it. But somehow he'll get you to understand it. I remember watching the movie The Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi had Daniel doing everything other than teaching him karate, which Daniel thought until that last moment when he was gearing up. He said, I'm tired of it. I kill it. You're not teaching me anything. You're working me to death. I'm your slave. And he told Daniel to sand the fence or wash the car or something. And he was showing him everything he was doing. And he found out that he was actually teaching him karate. But what he was doing while teaching him karate was teaching him discipline. Well, when I go back in my life and I think about discipline, I went to prison at a very young age. I wasn't saved when I first went to prison. But in my prison walk, I walk into prison and I'm probably a couple of the very young people that's in there. What I mean by young, I've never been before. And I had a notion of what it was like. You see these prison movies and you get all caught up into the prison movies and you think you know everything. Because as a person that's in the world, we think we know everything. We think because we're in the streets, we're bad, we're big and bad, but you're going to find out in this walk that we're not big and bad. And what God was showing me, that he works in mysterious ways. Now, I never had any idea what God was doing until now. When I came back to the Father, after being a backslider, he allowed me to know exactly what he was doing at the time when I had no idea what he was doing. I'm the kind of kid that I grew up in a great home. I had my mother and father until I was 50. And my mom died. But I had my original biological mother and father until the day that she died for 50 years. And we lived like, if my sister's online, she'll tell you, we lived like the walks. We ate together. We prayed, my mom did, and I was the baby. So I was spoiled. She allowed me to get away with murder in everything. She never saw any wrong in me. Even though I was the meanest little kid you ever want to see, she didn't see it. All she saw was her baby. And in doing so, a lot of the things that she was allowing me to get away with, it was causing me to think that I could get away with murder wherever I went. And I began to start doing little things. It wasn't the big things. I remember being one of the greatest baseball players and basketball players in this city. Right now in the city of Virginia Beach, I still got the record in basketball. 44 points at halftime. I didn't even play anymore. I had 44 points out of the 54 at halftime. I remember playing baseball. Signed a contract to play ball. Pro ball, semi-pro. Never got an opportunity to see it. I went on the ocean front and got a murder charge. How in the world you get a murder charge? Well, you get caught up with the wrong people. A lot of times we don't realize, but you begin to look like who you hang with. My mom used to tell me all the time, watch who you hang with. She used to say it like this. If you hang around garbage, you will smell like it.
Come on.
But it went in one ear and right out the other. But little did I know that God still had a plan in my life in all of this. And we'll get to it.
Come on. Thank you.
Well, when I went on the ocean front and I got the murder charge, I had to go to jail at 17 years old. And I had to stay in there for 366 days waiting to go to trial. It was a Caucasian man that got killed. And I got a lawyer. My mom, this lawyer came to my mom and asked my mom, could she take my charge? Could he take my charge? Free of charge. They didn't want no money. They just wanted to get on the map. And this was a good trial to get them on the map. And this was Stephen Swain and Shuttleworth, the lawyers right now, down on Oceanfront. And I met these guys when they was young. And they told me, we're not going to allow you to testify against neither one of the guys that's there with you. We just going to prove that you didn't do it. And the only way we can do that is set you down, because if you go in there and testify against one of them, they going to pull you in. And that's all right now. People want to hear that you had something to do with it. So we don't have to let you get caught up in that. Then we can get you free. Quiet as it kept. God was playing a role in this. I didn't see it at that time, but God was playing a role. You know how we do. I was lucky and all of that, but God was beginning to deal with me. Going on from that, I got out of that. I was found not guilty for the murder, and they still tried to get me for the armed robbery because I had took some money from the person who killed the man. So they tried to say that the $5 that I got from the guy was enough to charge me with armed robbery. But when they tried to charge me, my lawyers called it estoppel. What it was is that the only way they can charge me with armed robbery, they had to use the same evidence they had with trying to convict me with murder. So they couldn't do it. So I got released. When I got released, I had a reputation. How many of you know about reputations? I had a reputation of a killer, a bad boy. And all the time I was a pussycat. I didn't have no violence in me. I was a good boy. I mean, I honestly was a good kid. But one day, me and my friends puff pass. I smoked my joint of marijuana. How many of you know a joint of marijuana could be the last thing you want to do? And everybody right now don't realize this. Right now, a lot of people don't realize this. But I have been blessed by God to have getting away from everything. I got away from everything that the devil had me to do. And I want to share how this happened. Is that the scam? They do it every day. Well, I want to get back to this, and I want to share with you that God played a role in my life from that point, and I didn't know it. When I got out, I began to act as if I was a bad guy. I had a semi-reputation because people didn't know that I killed somebody or not. They were just going by what the streets say. And everybody know what the streets will do. The streets will make you bad, or the streets will tear you down.
Yeah.
At this particular time, the streets was making me bad. But I wasn't bad at all. And I remember in 1986, I got saved. I got saved because it was something my mom wanted. I didn't do it because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Come on, brother.
A lot of times we get saved not being sick and tired of being sick and tired for whatever reason that we want to get saved. But I found out that it wasn't really something I wanted. I really wanted to do it because it made my mom happy. And I wanted to make my mom happy. I was enough trouble as it was. Well, I got saved in 1986. I had something special about me that I didn't realize. When you got God in your life from day one and you don't realize it, God will allow a lot of things to come your way. And you may not understand that it's God, because a lot of time before we get saved, we think it's all luck. Good luck, bad luck, three-leaf clovers and rabbit foots. And it's always about God. Well, let me share this. God began to deal with me in 1986. He did something to me that I didn't want to happen. He flipped my heart. He flipped my heart. He made me so nice that I even disliked myself. I didn't even want to be like this. And I couldn't understand what was going on. I was just nicer than nice. He took all of my fight that I had in me out of me. I became a wimp. No matter what, I didn't like to fight or nothing. I became a wimp. And I didn't like it. Even when I got on the drugs and started getting high every day, I did everything on this earth but two things. I never did heroin, and I never tried homosexuality out. Those are the two things I think God kept me from. But every other drug on the planet, I think I tried. And I think I did everything else, from burglaries to you name it, I probably done it. When I was on them drugs, I even did things that I refused to say, because some things God don't want you to tell. Some things I'm carrying to the grave. But I share this with you. God always been with me. Always. From day one, God been with me. So I got saved. And I had a drug charge. And when I had that drug charge and I got saved, everybody was telling me, God got you. Even my mom was saying, God got you. You're going to be all right. Everything is going to be fine. And, I'm saved and God is dealing with me, but I'm still not fully fledged there. You understand what I'm saying? Because, first of all, I'm realizing I'm not in it for me. I'm in it for somebody else. I'm in it for my mom. But God refused to allow me to be in it and not get something out of it.
Right.
So, when I went to court, I had a drug charge with possession. I had two $20 rocks in my pocket when they carried me down to the courthouse, and they found them. And I remember going to court in 1995, and Judge Rosenblatt had some license plates, 1,000 years. And he was the judge that said he would give away 1,000 years before he retired. Well, I only had $40 worth of product. So when I go to the court, I'm saved, I'm clean, I'm not doing drugs anymore. I'm really in church, but I'm not in church. Y'all get me. I'm in church, but I'm not in church. I'm going to church. I'm hearing the music. I'm standing up. I'm dancing. I'm saying praise the Lord. I'm doing all of that, and I had confessed it.
Yes.
So I'm thinking I'm all right. But how many of you know that you got to be delivered?
Come on. Yes. Amen.
And God knew I was delivered. He knew I was delivered. So when I went to court, everybody thinking I'm going to get out, including myself. I got God on my side. Well, the judge gave me 10 years for each rock. 20 years. 10 years of rock. $40 worth of product. He gave me 10 years for each rock. And he looked at my face and he said, I'm going to do you a favor. He said, I'm going to suspend 13 of that. But you're going to do 7 years of this. And I turned around and I think my mama had fainted or something. Because she was not happy about it.
Come on.
I mean, the reason why she wasn't because, see, my mama the one called the police on me because she actually thought I was losing my mind. Because I was smoking this drug, man, and she couldn't figure out where was her son. She was still looking for her son. And when she did this, I wasn't safe, but she was looking for me. And when she called him, she didn't know I had that in my pocket. The sheriff's department arrested me. But let's move on. I go to jail the first day, and I'm sitting in that cell, and I didn't know if I was under the old law or the new law. And I didn't know. But they told me I fell under the old law because of my charge I had years before I got my sentence. So I had parole. I could get out on parole. But quasi cap, I had to do 4.5 years. The first time I went to prison, I only did 2. I learned the ropes in prison. I learned a lot of things that God wanted me to learn then too. Because a lot of times when God is molding you and shaping you to become something that you have no doubt, you don't even know what it is that God is doing. But I see now, because God gave me discipline in this system. In this system, when I first went in, I met this guy, and I didn't know nothing. And I'm soft, and I go into prison, and I don't know what to expect. And this guy pulled me to my side, and he said, I'm going to show you how to walk this walk. He knew my brother, my mom, everybody. And I just happened to go to that prison that he was at. And he showed me the ropes. He said, you got to do prison time. He said, you cannot live in the street while you're in here. You're going to lose your life. He said, you got to stay focused. Staying focused was not a problem. I'm in there with killers and everybody else.
Right.
So staying focused on no problem. If somebody said boo, I jump. Because I'm not going to sit here and play with you and tell you that I wasn't scared. I was actually scared. Well, I got a lot of lessons taught to me during that little 2-year stint. But now on this 4-year stint, what happened? Well, I go to prison, and everything is chaotic. I mean, I don't know what's going on. But what I did do, I got with God in prison. I mean, this time, it was different from when I was outside. I really grabbed hold of God this time like I never had before. And when I grabbed hold of him in prison, a couple guys online probably listened to me that was in there with me. I want to share this one story before I go on. It was a guy, about 275 pounds. We're in a 4-man cell. Now, I had got grounded and rooted in God. This is how grounded I was. If my mom was living, she'll tell you the same thing. I wake up one morning and I look in the mirror and I got the size of a dime, a perfectly gray, white circle that grew right here on my neck. It was hair, but it was like a dime, about the size of a dime. It was perfectly round. Like somebody copped it and shaved it and made it perfectly round. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And I'm looking at it like, I'm cutting this mess off immediately. It looked crazy. My mama comes and sees me, and she said, and I said, what's wrong with you? She said, what? She said, Lord God to put his glory on you.
Yes, Lord. Come on, man.
And my mama was a saved woman. And when she said that, I said, Mom, he can put anything he want on me, but cut this off. She said, boy, don't touch that. I said, Mom, I don't like this. So when my mama went home, I cut that chain off. I just didn't like it.
Right.
But I didn't realize what God was doing in my life at that time. Well, I was in this cell, and the guy was mad, and he was talking. He wanted to fight me. Now I'm in a 4-man cell. The 4-man cell is not big at all. This man, 275 pounds. And he's screaming all kinds of things at me. I'll kill you. And he's doing this with his fists, and I'm not even looking at it. But I can see him doing this. I should. And I picks up my Bible. I don't care if you got this Bible now. I don't care what you're doing with the Bible. And I remember this. This was the part of me that I remember mostly. I'm just reading. And I don't even know, I didn't even notice that the Bible was upside down. I'm trying to fool him because I got the Bible in my hand. And this man here threatened me with everything he had. 275 pounds. If Peanut Wynn is on the line now, he'll tell you, he was in that cell with me. He'll tell you, this actually happened. And he argued and fussed and fussed and fussed. And all of a sudden, he got up and laid on the bunk. And he was still fussing. I'll kill you, nigga. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Ain't nobody scared of that Bible. I don't care. I don't care. Get it. And all of a sudden, he fell asleep. When he fell asleep, the brothers looked at me and said, now look, he sleep like Goliath. You can stick a pencil right through his head and kill him if you want to. And I said, at that time, man, gotta be a God.
Yes.
God done put Goliath to sleep.
Come on, Jesus.
And now I could actually do what I want with it. But I remember when David ran into Saul in the cave. And God told David, don't kill him because he was an anointed man of God. Well, I ran into Bouncy. I tell you his name. Years ago, after that, I ran into him in there, in a fast food restaurant where he was a cook at. And he looks at me, and he couldn't look me in the face. But I'm full-fledged saved now. I'm talking about, I didn't put everything away when he saw me, but he saw the real God in me. Okay, I went way ahead, but I'm coming back. In that prison walk, I became really the head of that prison ministry in that place. God began to deal with me like he never dealt with a brother in your life. And I'm trying to figure out, why God? Why me? And I'm really getting hold of God. You know how people say in prison, yeah, you got that prison saved and that prison ministry in you and all of this. And quiet as it kept, actually they was right. Because when I got out, I went straight back to what I was doing. I just wasn't feeling God like I should have been. God was feeling me, but I wasn't feeling him. And how many of you know that God said he's married to the backslider? And what he was saying was, I'm going to let you do your thing, but I'm married to you. You're going to come back home. My mom told me on her dying bed, son, you may not want to hear what I'm going to tell you. And I'm talking about she's an hour away from dying. She called all us in there, and she called me, and she said, God will get a hold of you, and he'll never let you go. And I said, Mom, why are you talking about this now? I said, Mom, you'll be all right. But when I left out of that room, my mom died. And I wouldn't go in there and look at her because her mouth was wide open. She died with her mouth open. But I remember so many times my mom had told me, this is what God was going to do. A lot of people never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. But God blessed my soul. And I came out of that prison and I went right back to the world, doing everything that the world did. And I had such a God in me that he had ripped me apart on the inside. I couldn't be the same no more if I wanted to. And do you know the devil really tried to make me be who I used to be? And he couldn't. I was scared of everything. I don't know if you can, have you ever been like that? Have you ever been scared of everything? You just scared of everything. I'm scared of everything. But guess what? I got enough nerve to do all the craziness that I wanted to do. And this is why I know the devil come to steal, kill, and destroy. But he can't do nothing to the children that God has chose to do something from them. See, I tell people today, I know I'm chosen because God pulled me out of things that I know it was God.
Come on.
Even when the devil wanted to take me out, God wouldn't allow him. I'm seeing my mom die December the 5th, 2005. I still got all of this on me, all in my heart, all in my head. My mom wanted me to be saved. I got crack all over the house. In her house. My dad upstairs, he got Alzheimer's. 6 months later, I'm laying on the couch. My 2 daughters and my brother walks in the house about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm cracked up, and they wakes me up. I had a step problem, I don't know when. So I'm now falling asleep. And they comes in. When I roll over, my brother said, bruh, get up. And I noticed my baby girl, she's looking at me. Because Jamaica knew that I was high. Because when I was staying with my mom and her and my mom would come from church, I would have the pillow over my head because I was high. And I felt like if I had the pillow on my head, could nobody see me. Again, that's what crack will do to you. It messes your mind up. Well, they said, your son been shot. I jumps up. And I don't grab with one shoe. And I said, come on, man, take me to the hospital. And I know somebody moving but me. And he said, bro, it ain't no use. He dead. Hold up. My mom gone. 6 months later, you gonna tell me my only son is dead. My only son is dead. We just got started with being in each other's life again. I'm talking about me and my son had just got back in the calling daddy and son. Now my son is gone. God, what is you doing? You took my mom, now my son is gone. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What's happening? Why all of a sudden? See, not everything is happening to me. I don't understand it. Now, I can tell you, I understand it. See, when God allowed the enemy to come into Job's life, he knew that Job was able to take it.
Come on.
But what he had to do was he had to show Job that my will got to be done, not yours. See, I told the devil that you were going to curse me out and die. I told him you wasn't going to do that. I knew that you were going to keep your word with me. But I also knew that you were going to go through some changes. I went through some changes when they killed my son. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I still had drugs in my life. I'm still on crack. And I can't figure it out. What do I do? What do I do? I can't go out there and do what the young people was telling me to do because I had a bunch of young dealers coming to my house every day. One of them put a machine gun on my washing machine that my mama left in the house. He came in the kitchen around the corner. He said, go handle the business. Now, the spirit and the flesh was fighting now. The flesh was saying, don't make them think you're a punk. Go and get this machine gun and go find that brother and take him out of here. He done killed your son. The court will have mercy on you. Well, the court didn't have mercy on me on two $20 rocks. So how in the world the court gonna have a mercy on me for using a machine gun? Then my mama said, on this side, this is how evil and the good fight each other, the flesh and the spirit. There's nothing good in the flesh, but the spirit will talk to you. And I remember my mom was telling me, it was somebody had died. And I said, they were going to do some street justice. And my mom said, you know what, boy? They can kill that man 100 times. They won't bring that person back that he killed. And I remember that. It sounded just like she was talking to my head. And I said, I got 2 daughters. Should I lose both of my daughters behind my son who's already dead? I can't change anything. Lord is my witness. I love Boosie. I think about Boosie every single day I see one of his friends. He was a good kid, man. He was just like his dad. He was born July the 14th, and I was born July the 17th. We was that close in our ways and our actions, and I actually believe if I had got my life back together, I would have won him. And a lot of times we don't really understand why God is allowing us to go through things. But God began to shake me up. And he say shake, I mean shake. He was beginning to shake me up. Because sometimes God will do like the prodigal son. He'll let you have your way. This is what you want, go ahead, take it. If you want it before time, take it. I was trying to gain the world. I was trying to do everything that the world was doing. I wanted to hang with the boys, hang out, do this, do that, smoke, drink, have sex when I wanted to. This is what I wanted. God allowed me to see He gave me what I wanted. He was letting me know, I'm going to let you see for yourself. Because I got something coming for you that's going to give you one of the most powerful ministries out there. Because not only are you going to tell people what you've been through, you're going to be able to tell them how I brought you through it.
Yes, God. Thank you.
There's a lot of times when people don't understand this. And I say this all the time. The least person that you think God is going to change, God is going to change it. When you don't have no idea that God is working in their lives. They sat back, they don't seem like they're there, and God took everything from me. Aside for one thing, He will not allow me to shut up. My wife will tell you that. He took everything from me aside from my gift of gab. He let me keep that. Everything else He took. He took my cool. He took everything. I mean, sometimes I be trying to walk cool and I almost fall down. I almost trip. Because God takes everything that don't do you any good. If it's not going to give Him the glory, He don't want you to have it.
Yes, come on.
And God began to take everything that wasn't going to do Him any good. The coolness, I had holes in my ear. The Spirit of the Holy Ghost said, why you need them? Who you trying to impress?
Yes.
You're here for to do what I asked you to do. Give Him the glory.
Amen.
So I began to understand that God wanted me to give Him the glory.
Yes.
So when I began to give God the glory, things began to change. Not just in my life, but I began to feel a little bit at ease about the death of my son. I began to understand and accept it because I understood now why God was doing certain things in my life. He didn't take my son, the devil stole him. But in the midst of it, how many of you know when the devil do something for your bad, God always turn it around for your good?
That's it.
I thank God for my son. Because my son made me realize I need to get out of the streets.
Come on, bro.
He made me realize some of the things that he was telling me, it was coming to pass. Because he was telling me, Dad, you don't need that drug. You don't need to be out there in the street. You don't need that. You don't need that. And I didn't even want to until he lost his life. I was ready now. God was getting me sick and tired of being sick and tired. When God made you sick and tired of being sick and tired, you don't serve God because you're trying to get away from that or you're trying to get away with this. You just want to serve Him because He's God. When you start serving God because He's God, that's when you begin to get all the benefits of God. See, the benefits ain't having materialistics. The benefits ain't having money. The benefits of having God in your life is giving you that ability to catch men, to win souls. Even when they don't want you to know that you're attracting them. God used us as that bait. And God was making me that person that was going to be the bait. Because He told me you're going to catch the fish that got away.
Jesus.
I didn't understand it. Before I understood it, I didn't understand it. Everybody talking about me, saying things about me, like they knew me. Even the people that say I was smoking crack never saw me smoking. Because I never smoked crack outside of my house but a few times. Most of the time I was in my house. If you didn't come in my house and see me with the pillow on my head, you probably didn't know I smoked crack, unless every now and then. But most of the people knew I was on it because I lost weight. I lost everything. I lost my cool too. I lost everything. All my clothes, because my mom always made us as her children dress. I love to dress. Man, I was out there running crack in Pierre Cardin. I'm telling you the truth. People that know me in your own line, tell them I'm not telling no lie. I used to be out there and I dressed every single day. Love my cologne. Love to look good. Didn't have 50 cents in my pocket, but I look good. This is what I began to understand. God was telling me, don't have a form of godliness
Come on.
and deny the power thereof.
Yes,
See, a lot of people got a form of cleanliness. You ever heard the saying, the cleanest man in the house uses the brokest? That's a true story. Because I stayed clean and I stayed broke. But I had looks of a successful man. This is what we don't do now. I'm going to cut because the time is running short. You said you want to get out of here. I got another day.
yes.
But I really want to share
Yes, Lord.
from the day that God really began to bring me out
Yes,
up until right now.
thank you.
Because that's an amazing story in itself.
Yes, Lord.
Amen.
Yes, Lord.
Because God is a good God.
Yes, He is. Yes,
And I
Lord.
tell young folks all the time, don't let people talk you out of God.
Amen.
Because they'll try to talk you out of God.
Jesus.
Don't let them talk you out of God. God got a plan for you, and right now you probably don't even understand what He's doing in your life because things don't seem like it's working a way that you wanted to work. But God got a plan, and He works in mysterious ways.
Yes, Lord.
So I say this to say, come back tomorrow and hear the rest of the story that God has given me. Amen.
Amen. Amen.